Arthur, Leo only has 7 days left. I must get pregnant to help him fulfill his wish. Can't you be a little more tolerant of us? Is that so difficult? As his wife, Charlotte, entered the door, her 7-month pregnant belly was already flat again, and she was holding the discharge papers from an abortion. The Leo she spoke of was her childhood friend who had been with her from childhood until now. Although she always said the two of them were like siblings, with no romantic feelings, whenever something happened to Leo, even if it was just a scraped finger, Charlotte would go through a torrential storm to be with him. There can be pure friendship between a man and a woman. Don't think of us in such a sordid way. I had argued with her about this many times, but it always came to nothing in the end. Later, she became pregnant, and we eagerly awaited the birth of our child, but Leo was suddenly diagnosed with a terminal illness, with only 7 days to live. His dying wish was for his family line to continue. So, without even asking me, she decided to have an abortion to go and have Leo's child. I looked at her, pale after the surgery, and clenched my fists tightly. To make room for Leo, you actually killed our child. You ask me to be tolerant, but were you ever tolerant of the already formed fetus in your womb? Charlotte had already anticipated my reaction and she smiled faintly. It wasn't born yet, so it doesn't count as a person. I just want to leave a bloodline for Leo. You know my constitution, I get pregnant at a touch. By the time I give birth to this child, Leo will have long been dead. Then we can have the child call you Dad. You'd be getting a great deal. Listening to this twisted logic, I laughed in anger. I get to be a father and I'm told I'm getting a great deal. What man would want a deal like that? I clearly had my own child, only 3 months from being born, yet she insisted on me being the father to another man's child. She clearly knew that my family, the Marshalls, has had a single heir for 3 generations and that I place great importance on the continuation of our bloodline, yet she spoke of it so lightly. It seemed that in her heart, Leo was far more important than me, her husband. I flung her hand away and shouted angrily, "Whoever wants this deal can have it, I don't need it." Charlotte's expression changed instantly, and she said angrily, "Arthur, do you really have to take it this far? I really don't understand what jealousy you have towards a dead man. If you don't want to accept that child, I'll just have another one with you, won't that solve it?" She said it so casually. In her eyes, a child was just a thing. So she could have a child with whomever she wanted and have an abortion whenever she wanted, without any need to consider the father's opinion. I remember when I wanted a child before, she always found excuses to put it off. Having a child would ruin her looks, her figure would change, and there could be many lasting complications. I begged her for 3 years, and she finally agreed to stop taking precautions. We were so happy to be pregnant. It had already been 7 months. Just because of something Leo said, she decided to abort the child to have his instead. What kind of person am I, her husband? I was dizzy with anger and shouted, "In any case, I forbid you from going to see Leo. If you dare step out of this house tonight, we're getting a divorce." Hearing the word divorce, a look of panic finally appeared on Charlotte's face. She looked at me sadly. "How could you say something so hurtful?" Hurtful? So she also understands what it means to hurt someone. From when we were dating to our marriage, 5 years in total, I had never once lost my temper with her. I accommodated her in every way, which only made her act with less and less restraint. Even when she went to watch fireworks with Leo while I was sick, even when she flirted with Leo right in front of me, completely ignoring my existence, even when she got drunk after arguing with Leo and took her anger out on me, I tolerated it all. Because I loved her. But now, to have a child for Leo, she had cruelly killed our child. This has crossed my line, and I will not tolerate it anymore. Seeing that I wasn't just speaking out of anger but truly considering divorce, Charlotte's eyes flickered, and she sighed as if compromising. "Sigh, all right then, I won't go. Don't be angry, darling." She gave me a placating kiss on the cheek, got up, went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water, handed it to me, and said softly, "Look how angry you are, your lips are all dry. Have some water." I looked at her suspiciously, not letting my guard down. Given how much Charlotte cared about Leo, it was rare for her to give in so easily. But my throat was indeed very sore. I took the water and drank it all in one go. My attitude also calmed down a bit. About the baby, This is all we can do. You've been pregnant for so long, the surgery must have taken a toll on your body. As I was speaking, my vision started to blur, and my head felt groggy. I saw Charlotte's gentle smile turn into a face full of apology. Darling, I'm sorry, I really can't leave Leo alone, he is my best friend. After you take this amnesia potion, you will forget everything that happened recently. When I come back, I will convince you that this child is yours, so you won't feel humiliated. With that, she picked up her handbag beside her and prepared to leave. I angrily grabbed her hand and weakly shouted, "Don't go, Charlotte." A trace of hesitation flashed across Charlotte's face, but in the end, she forcefully pulled her hand away and turned to leave. I stuck my fingers down my throat, trying to vomit out the amnesia potion. Gradually, I lost consciousness. When I woke up, the events of yesterday were clearly imprinted in my mind. That amnesia potion was useless. The thought of Charlotte and Leo possibly being together made me frantically grab my car keys and rush out. Only after I got outside did I remember that I had no idea where they were. I quickly called my friend Dave, who is a private investigator. Find my wife Charlotte's location. Quick. If this dragged on, they might have already. I didn't dare to think further. While waiting for a message back from Dave, I kept calling Charlotte's phone, but it always said the user's phone was switched off. Just then, a call came in from an unknown number. "Arthur, your wife is about to have a baby with me. How do you feel?" It was Leo. A sharp pain shot through my heart. The man Charlotte was determined to go to without hesitation. Leo laughed triumphantly. "Are you surprised that you haven't lost your memory? I gave the potion to Lottie. She believed me because she knew you wouldn't agree. In reality, that stuff is just a sedative, it doesn't cause amnesia at all. I also turned her phone off, so don't bother trying to disturb us. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Lottie. She looks so beautiful after her shower." The call ended abruptly at that point. My heart felt like it had been plunged into an ice cellar. I had originally thought that even if Charlotte wanted to help Leo, she would consider my opposition when it came to the critical moment and would at least hesitate for a couple of days. I never expected that by the next day, the two of them would be mixed up together, having already taken showers. It seems I had overestimated my importance in Charlotte's heart. I gave a bitter smile. After 5 years of dating and marriage, what did all my devotion count for? In the end, it couldn't compare to the deep bond of childhood friends. Just then, a message arrived from Dave. "Arthur, they're at the Azure Hotel. There's also a video, taken when they entered the hotel half an hour ago." I trembled as I opened the video and saw the image of Leo carrying Charlotte into the hotel lobby. The two of them were like a couple deeply in love, talking as they walked. "Lottie, aren't you worried that Arthur will blame you when he finds out? There's nothing to be done now. I have to help you fulfill your dying wish. As for Arthur, I can only apologize. Oh, don't keep bringing him up, it's such a downer. Let's just get started, I'm a bit nervous." Charlotte snuggled shyly in Leo's arms, her head bowed, as if afraid of being seen. Seeing this scene, I burned with rage. They were blatantly acting like lovers under the guise of fulfilling a dying wish, and when my name was mentioned, Charlotte's first reaction was not guilt, but annoyance. And Leo, with his spirited appearance, looked nothing like someone with a terminal illness. On the contrary, he looked healthier and stronger than the average person. The emotion in their eyes when they looked at each other was obvious to any observer. Even if I wanted to deceive myself, I couldn't find an excuse. My hands and feet grew numb, and my breathing involuntarily quickened. I floored the accelerator, ready to go to the hotel and confront Charlotte, but as soon as the car started, it spun out of control and crashed into a tree by the roadside. In that instant, I was hit by a massive force, my head was bleeding, and my hand was deeply cut by shards of glass. As I passed out, the image of Charlotte and Leo's intimate scene still floated in my mind. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Dave, worried when he couldn't reach me, had used my location to find me and take me to the hospital. My wounds were simply dressed, and the doctor recommended I stay for observation, but I insisted on going home. Helpless, Dave had no choice but to drive me home, trying to console me for a long time on the way, saying there are plenty of women out there and not to make myself suffer for Charlotte. But I couldn't hear a word of it. I tried hard to hold back my tears, but they still streamed down my face. I returned home covered in injuries, collapsed dejectedly onto the sofa, and tried to numb myself with alcohol, but Charlotte's image involuntarily filled my mind. Just then, my phone screen lit up, and Leo's Facebook post appeared before my eyes. It was an intimate photo of him and Charlotte. The background was a pink-themed circular bed, and they were wearing matching teddy bear pajamas, their fingers intertwined, with the marks on Charlotte's neck clearly visible. The caption read, "Thanks to my best mate for spending the last 7 days of my life with me and fulfilling all my wishes. Cheers to my best mate, Lottie." The two of them were smiling happily at the camera, their faces close together. They were smiling so happily, so blissfully, so openly and without reservation. Like a form of self-torture, I looked at the photo over and over again, zooming in on every detail. It was like countless blades cutting my heart, piece by piece. I increasingly felt that my deep love for Charlotte made me so pathetic, so tragic, and so ridiculous. After surviving a whole night of torment, I finally regained my clarity. The post-hangover headache subsided, bringing with it an unprecedented sense of relief. A man can cry for love, but he cannot drown in it, unable to escape. I had to pull myself together. Besides Charlotte, I still had friends and family. After I finished cleaning the house and was about to leave for work, a delivery driver knocked on the door. After opening the door, the driver was holding a cake and a large bouquet of flowers. It was only then that I remembered today was my 5th anniversary with Charlotte. It was a surprise I had ordered in advance. I didn't expect that both Charlotte and I had forgotten. "Sir, I'm very sorry. I accidentally dropped this cake and flowers on the ground on the way here, and they got mud on them. I will compensate for this order." The driver bowed and apologized. I said there was no need for compensation and immediately threw the gifts into the rubbish bin. If my things get dirty, I don't want them anymore. That applies to cakes and flowers. And to people as well. Over the next few days, I started looking for a flat to rent, preparing to move out. I had already figured it out. I couldn't bear this painful marriage anymore. I didn't care who Charlotte wanted to love or whose baby she wanted to have. As soon as Charlotte returned, I would divorce her and make a clean break. I found a studio flat in the opposite direction from our current home. The price and location were good, and it was very close to my office. I started moving my things. There weren't many of my belongings in this house. I packed one bag and was done. The day after I moved my things, I remembered the sapphire ring my mother had left for her daughter-in-law was still in Charlotte's jewelry box. When my mother gave it to her, she was very serious and told her to take good care of it. But Charlotte was dismissive, tossing it on the corner of the bed several times. At the time, I couldn't bring myself to scold her, so I hid it at the bottom of her jewelry box. Now it was time to get it back. I went back to the bedroom, and just as I took out the ring and was about to leave, the living room door opened. Charlotte and Leo walked in, talking and laughing. Seeing the ring in my hand, her expression immediately became a bit puzzled. "Arthur, what are you doing with my ring?" Before I could speak, Charlotte joyfully shoved a pregnancy test report into my hand. "Surprise! I have good news to tell you, you're going to be a father." I smirked coldly and didn't say a word. Charlotte was very dissatisfied with my reaction and nudged my arm. "Hey, husband, what's with that expression?" Leo, standing to the side, smiled slightly and teased, "Arthur must be too surprised, so excited he doesn't know what to do. Lottie, didn't you say his family has had a single heir for 3 generations and is just waiting for you to give him a child to carry on the family line?" Charlotte suddenly understood, then raised her chin smugly and gave me a reproachful look. "Look at you, what a pathetic sight. How are you going to be a father to our child? How can you be a role model? All right, you can stop staring blankly. Go cook with Leo. By the way, I've been craving sour things lately, so it might be a boy." I ignored her, sat on the sofa with a sneer, and watched their performance. I have to say, Charlotte's acting was worthy of an Oscar. If I hadn't known the truth, I almost would have believed it. Seeing that I wasn't going to cook as she said, Charlotte frowned unhappily and scolded, "Arthur, are you deaf? I told you to cook for me. Can't you see I'm pregnant, and we have a guest in the house? What does your pregnancy have to do with me?" I asked back with a laugh. Charlotte became even angrier. I rarely went against her requests, and now seeing my cold attitude, she immediately put on a stern face. "Arthur, what's wrong with you? What did I do to you? I've worked so hard to carry your child and continue your family line, and you won't even cook for me. Believe it or not, I'll go and abort this child right now, and make sure you, Arthur Marshall, never become a father." Her feigned threat only made me find it funnier. I really don't understand on what grounds Charlotte could say such things. Was it to continue the Marshall family line, or the Thorne family line? Seeing the mocking expression on my face, Charlotte became even angrier and was about to explode when Leo opportunely spoke up, acting all understanding. "Lottie, maybe something unhappy happened to Arthur today. Forget it, I'll cook for you. How about beef and tomato stew?" Charlotte's expression finally softened a little. She gave me a displeased look, and then started praising Leo. "Leo is still the one who knows how to be considerate and understands my preferences. He's more suited to be a father than some people." When she said the last sentence, she deliberately glanced at me and even proactively handed the apron to Leo. I knew she was trying to make me jealous. In the past, whenever she praised Leo in front of me, I would turn into a jealous mess and constantly ask her to praise me instead. But now, I remained with my legs crossed, my expression nonchalant, as if I were a mere spectator. At this point, Charlotte seemed to sense something. A flicker of doubt crossed her eyes, and she walked over to me, frowning as she said, "Arthur, we have a guest here. I've already given you enough face. Don't push your luck." I looked at her superior, almost charitable expression, and felt even more disgusted. She still hadn't noticed that half the things in the house were gone and was still acting as if the whole world should revolve around her and everyone owed her something. At that moment, Leo walked over wearing the apron and looked at me, saying, "All right, Arthur, Lottie is a pregnant woman after all. Don't take your anger from outside out on her." As he spoke, while Charlotte wasn't looking, he quietly raised an eyebrow at me, looking rather smug, as if showing off. Yet I felt no anger, but rather found the whole situation boring. Charlotte went to great lengths to have Leo's child, even aborting our own, and Leo concocted lies about an amnesia potion and a terminal illness to deceive her. Since these two were trying so hard to be together, I should naturally let them. Before Charlotte could speak again, I immediately stood up and said, "All right, it's getting late. There's something I need to tell you, Charlotte, let's get a divorce." Charlotte was stunned for a moment, staring at me in disbelief. "What did you say? Divorce? Arthur, you're going too far. Lottie is newly pregnant." Leo frowned and walked towards me, pretending to try and reason with me, pushing my body with both hands. But the next second, he suddenly fell backwards, creating the illusion that I had pushed him, and lay on the floor groaning theatrically. "Leo!" Charlotte screamed, rushed over, shoved me hard, and turned to check on Leo's injuries. Caught off guard by her push, I stumbled into the table. The old scar on my hand was scraped open on the corner of the table, and blood immediately gushed out. At this moment, Charlotte was still pointing at me and yelling insults. "Arthur, Leo just tried to reason with you a bit. How could you hit him? I just found out I was pregnant, and you want to divorce me? Now you're even getting violent, you." In the midst of her tirade, she finally noticed the changes in the house and said with a shocked expression, You've even moved your things out." "No, Arthur, are you serious?" She stared at me intently, a hint of anxiety in her eyes, then suddenly seemed to realize something. Immediately after, her face contorted in a snarl as she cursed me. "So it's you, Arthur. Are you trying to divorce me because you have another woman outside? No wonder I felt something was off when I got back. You weren't even happy that I was pregnant. So you were cheating. Tell me, when did you two start? How dare you betray me? I am carrying the bloodline of your Marshall family." As she rushed over to grab my collar and push me, she finally noticed the blood dripping from my fingers onto the floor. Her expression froze for a second, then, as if seeing through everything, her face went cold. "Arthur, I never thought you were so calculating. Cutting your own hand, making all this blood, and wanting a divorce, isn't it all just to make me feel sorry for you? You are so annoying." She impatiently grabbed a tissue and took hold of my wrist, saying, "All right, stop acting. I'll take you to the hospital to get it bandaged." I shook off her hand in disgust and, with my uninjured hand, took out the divorce agreement I had already prepared from under the cabinet. I coldly interrupted her. You stop acting. The moment you aborted our baby to have Leo's, we were already over. Sign it. Charlotte was instantly stunned, looking at me in disbelief. How did you know I was pregnant with you? You didn't lose your memory? I ignored her question and glanced coolly at Leo, who was standing nearby. Leo stopped pretending to be in pain, frowned in thought, and suddenly slapped his forehead. Damn it. Lottie, I'm sorry, I might have grabbed the wrong potion. Grabbed the wrong one? Charlotte frowned, staring at Leo as if she understood something. Her face grew paler and paler. She anxiously walked over, wanting to grab my hand, but recoiled in fear when she touched the blood. Darling, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have secretly hidden it from you. Arthur, things have come to this. Lottie is already pregnant with my child. You can't possibly make her have an abortion, can you? It's very damaging to the body. Leo said with feigned concern, but the triumph and provocation deep in his eyes were obvious. Charlotte also looked at me with expectant eyes, saying with a hint of grievance, That's right, darling. Leo already said this child can be considered ours, for us to raise. He won't let it slip out. And the doctor said I can't have another abortion. Enough. I cut her off, somewhat impatiently. None of this has anything to do with me. If you sign the divorce agreement, I'll leave. If you don't sign, I'll file a lawsuit. Charlotte instantly went limp, looking at me painfully. Why? Can't you just forgive me this once for the sake of our past feelings? I know I was wrong, but you can't abandon me. Abandon? Compared to you tricking me into drinking an amnesia potion and leaving me, I'm already being very considerate. Seeing the situation, I estimated there was no hope of Charlotte signing, so I got up and walked straight out. The moment I was at the door, Charlotte ran over and hugged me from behind. Don't go, darling, I'm begging you to forgive me this one time. After this child is born, I'll have another one for you, our child. I broke free from her hands and walked out without hesitation. Even if I have no children in this life, I have no interest in a woman who has carried another man's child in her womb. After returning to the rented flat, I simply bandaged my wound and then went to a law firm downstairs to consult about divorce matters. The person who received me was a young female lawyer named Eleanor Redwood. She was said to have extensive experience in handling divorce cases. After understanding my personal situation and requests, she couldn't help but remark, "It's rare to see a man as straightforward as you, giving most of the assets to his ex-wife just to get a quick divorce. Rest assured, Mr. Marshall, without property disputes, the divorce process should be relatively smooth. I'm not being generous, I just don't want to have any more dealings with Charlotte." After exchanging contact information, I drove to the office to work overtime, not returning home until late at night. During this time, Charlotte kept calling me, sending text messages, and making voice and video calls on social media. I rejected them all and added her to my block list. In the past, I could never have imagined that our positions would be reversed like this. Charlotte became the one actively pursuing me, while I no longer had anything worth holding on to. A woman who personally aborted her own child to have one with someone else, no one would believe it if you told them, but Charlotte did just that, and did it so thoroughly. The next day, just as I finished getting ready and was about to leave, I opened the door to find Charlotte standing there. Her face was haggard, and her eyes were red and swollen. "Darling, you're finally awake. I've been waiting here for you since 3 in the morning, I was afraid of waking you." Charlotte had always been willful, with a princess-like temper. This was perhaps the first time in her life she had actively tried to win a man back. But where was she before? She should understand that a broken mirror cannot be mended. I didn't spare her a second glance, locked the door, and headed straight downstairs. Charlotte blocked my way again, her voice choking with sobs. "Darling, I know everything now. You came looking for me that day and got into a car accident. You even called me, but my phone was off. I was just worried you would try to stop me. I swear I will only ever love you. Can you please move back in?" I was getting tired of her pestering and, suppressing my emotions, I said, "Miss Hayes, let's part on good terms. The person you should be looking for now is Leo, not me, understand?" With tears in her eyes, Charlotte looked at me helplessly. "Are you still upset about me and Leo?" It only happened once with him, that's when the baby was conceived. My head was spinning from listening to her, and I felt there was nothing more to say. Your business as a couple has nothing to do with me. I have things to do, so I'm leaving. After saying that, I didn't care if she followed and strode down the stairs. Arthur, do I have to get an abortion for you to forgive me? Charlotte's shout echoed in my mind in the stairwell. My heart trembled for a moment, but I immediately clenched my fists and left quickly. I went to a nearby place for breakfast and then to the car park to get my car. Just as I got into the driver's seat, I saw two familiar figures pass by. It was Charlotte and Leo. It turned out Leo was the one who had brought Charlotte over. The two of them were still entangled. Perhaps driven by curiosity, I didn't start the car, but quietly watched them walk to the corner of a pillar, where Leo suddenly pinned her against the wall. Charlotte had tears in her eyes, looking very wronged and wanting to resist, but Leo held her face and kissed her. Leo, what are you doing? She feebly pounded on Leo's chest, but it looked soft and powerless, like a token resistance. When the kiss ended, Charlotte's face was flushed and she was panting, I don't want Arthur to divorce me. Leo, what should I do? Leo gently stroked her hair and comforted her in a low voice. It's okay, Arthur is just doing this on purpose to get your attention. The more you go after him, the more smug he'll be. Just give him the cold shoulder for a few days, and he'll definitely come running back to you. Really? Charlotte was a little unsure. Trust me, when have I ever lied to you? Leo said gently. The two then shamelessly started kissing again. Watching this scene, I literally threw up. Luckily, I reacted quickly and took out a rubbish bag, otherwise I would have had to wash the car. I really couldn't figure out this woman, Charlotte. She could accept kissing and having relations with another man, even getting pregnant, yet she acted so deeply in love with me. Such a woman, with no bottom line and no principles, is truly rare. The thought of being caught between them, becoming a part of their game, made me feel sick for the next 3 days. Charlotte did not disturb my life. It seemed Leo's words had worked. She thought that by giving me the cold shoulder for a few days, I would come back to her. I can only say, just wait and see. Without Charlotte, my life became smoother and smoother. Not having to take care of someone else was indeed comfortable. The lawyer, Eleanor, had taken steps to speed up the divorce proceedings. Charlotte should be receiving the lawsuit documents soon. One day, I was waiting for a client in a restaurant, and unexpectedly, I ran into Charlotte and Leo again. It really was an ill-fated connection that couldn't be severed. Arthur, are you waiting for me? Surprise flashed in Charlotte's eyes, and she quickly walked over. Move back in with me, I've been waiting for you all this time. I noticed Leo's face darken beside her as he pursed his lips. You've misunderstood, I'm waiting for a client. Impossible. Charlotte's face immediately turned displeased, and she sat down directly opposite me. Why are you so stubborn? I've tried to appease you, why won't you give in? Do you know how upset I've been these past 3 days when you haven't contacted me? Arthur, you're going too far. As Charlotte spoke, she suddenly burst into tears, causing everyone else in the restaurant to turn and look. She accused me of being stingy and narrow-minded, insisting on pushing her to a dead end. For a moment, I became the villain of the story. I knew this meeting was probably ruined, so I quickly messaged my client to reschedule. Charlotte, don't look for me again. It's over when it's over. I've already retained a lawyer, and you'll receive the relevant notice soon. Hearing that I was filing for divorce, Charlotte became even more distraught. Arthur, you're so cruel. I was just helping a friend. Why are you doing this to me? Leo, standing beside her, said softly, Lottie, don't get too angry, don't let it affect the baby. Arthur definitely isn't trying to divorce you, he just wants to make you feel like you're about to lose him, so he can gain the upper hand. As he spoke, Leo wore an expression of having seen right through me, confidently deceiving Charlotte. But this time, Charlotte didn't believe him anymore. She pulled my arm forcefully, saying, I don't care, you can't leave me. Wherever you go from now on, I'll follow. Excuse me, are you Miss Hayes? I am the lawyer, Eleanor Redwood, entrusted by Mr. Marshall to discuss divorce matters with you. Suddenly, Eleanor walked over, directly interrupting Charlotte's unreasonable tantrum. Charlotte looked at Eleanor. Lawyer? Eleanor explained my demands to Charlotte and produced the court receipt. Usually, when a couple divorces, the court prioritizes mediation. If you have any other demands, since everyone is here, let's just make it clear. Eleanor sat down next to me, full of presence. Charlotte's expression also became serious as she stared at me. Do you really want to divorce me, Arthur? I nodded. Even now, you still refuse to believe it. Why? You clearly loved me so much, you couldn't have suddenly stopped loving me. As Charlotte spoke, she became agitated again. Eleanor observed for a long time before saying coldly, "Isn't this Mr. Thorne Miss Hayes's boyfriend? Why is she still unwilling to end this marriage?" Charlotte shook her head desperately. "No, he's my best friend." Eleanor's brow furrowed even tighter. She gave me a deep look, and I felt a strange ripple in my heart. The next second, Eleanor suddenly took my hand and said to Charlotte, "I'm sorry, Mr. Marshall already has a girlfriend, so it's impossible for him to continue this marriage with you." Charlotte's eyes widened and she shot up from her seat. "What did you say? Who is she? How come I've never seen her?" Eleanor lifted her delicate chin, a sharp look flashing across her coolly beautiful face. "Me?" Charlotte looked at me in disbelief, then at Eleanor, staring for a long time. "Impossible. Arthur gave all the assets to me, he must still love me." I suppressed the turmoil inside me and said calmly, "If you don't want them, you can give them back to me." Charlotte could no longer bear the sight of me with another woman. She ran out, crying in anguish. Leo shot me a fierce glare and followed her out. I paid them no mind, instead looking at Eleanor in surprise. She immediately let go of my hand. A blush crept across her delicate, coolly beautiful face. "Mr. Marshall, I was just standing up for you. While handling your case, I've learned a bit about what your ex-wife has done. She is truly outrageous. As a woman, as a wife, and even as an ordinary person, she is completely unqualified." Seeing her angry, I actually found this young woman to be very righteous. I had originally thought that lawyers, having seen too much of the world, could no longer distinguish between good and evil. Now it seems I was the one who was too biased. I smiled. "It's all right, it's all in the past. All I want now is to divorce her." Eleanor nodded, her bright eyes looking at me, and I looked back at her. A subtle feeling arose between us. "Let's eat. It's on me today." I smiled, asked the waiter for the menu, and the two of us ate and chatted, the atmosphere very pleasant. As I was leaving the restaurant, I received another text from Charlotte. "Arthur, I won't give up on you. I will make you understand that I am willing to give up everything for you." Reading this sentence, I inexplicably felt that Charlotte had a sense of fighting with her back against the wall. I wonder what she's plotting now. But it doesn't matter anymore. The more I gave her in the past, the more complete my despair is now. No matter what Charlotte does, my mind will not change. For the next few days, Eleanor couldn't get in touch with Charlotte at all. I thought back to the text message she sent that day. I couldn't understand her intentions. My divorcing her was to let them be together, yet she started acting all deeply in love. During this time, my interactions with Eleanor became more frequent. Besides the lawsuit, I accidentally discovered that her home was near my rented flat. She was a local. Perhaps because we both understood the complexities of adulthood, we naturally grew closer. Sometimes, I would invite her over to my place for dinner, drinks, and movies, and she always accepted readily. After getting to know her, I found that Eleanor was a pretty great girl. Her romantic history was very simple. She only had one boyfriend in university, and they broke up after he cheated on her. She and Charlotte were completely different. Charlotte was the taker type, while Eleanor was the giver type. And I am also the giver type. When two givers are together, they both worry that they haven't given the other person enough and are better at thinking from the other's perspective. 3 days before the divorce hearing, we tacitly decided that once we finished dealing with these trivial matters, we would officially start a relationship. At this moment, Charlotte suddenly reappeared. She knocked on my door and saw me and Eleanor in the same room, wearing matching slippers. Her eyes turned red, but this time she didn't lose control. Instead, she directly stuffed a surgical report into my hand. "Arthur, now, can you forgive me?" I frowned as I looked at the words on the paper. It was actually a report from an abortion procedure. It would be a lie to say I wasn't shocked. I never thought Charlotte would actually have an abortion, especially since this child was something she had gone to great lengths to conceive. What's more, frequent abortions are extremely harmful to the body. Charlotte looked at me affectionately, her voice choked with emotion. Now you understand that the man I love most in my heart is you, right? As for this woman's affair with you, I can let it go. Eleanor's expression changed. Without a word, she started to change her shoes to leave. But I grabbed her wrist and handed the surgical report back to Charlotte. Miss Hayes, I've already made myself very clear. No matter what you do, I am divorcing her. Why? Do you understand, after aborting this child, the doctor said it will be very difficult for me to conceive again. I've sacrificed so much for you. On what grounds are you leaving me? Seeing that I had no intention of reconciling, the coldness on Eleanor's face gradually faded. She said faintly to Charlotte, a broken mirror cannot be mended, and spilt water cannot be gathered. You personally aborted your child with Arthur, betrayed him, and even tried to deceive him and confuse the Marshall family's bloodline. These are not things you can undo just by having an abortion. I suggest you finalize the divorce proceedings as soon as possible. Once this goes to court, I will fight for greater benefits for my client. You should think it over carefully. After speaking, she arrogantly pulled my hand and went back inside. The moment the door closed, Eleanor let go of my hand and looked at me quietly. Your heart has softened, hasn't it? I didn't speak, perhaps because I didn't know how to answer. In my mind, Charlotte had always put me second to Leo. This was the first time she had hurt Leo for my sake, and the feeling was very strange. If she hadn't terminated the pregnancy in the first place, would we be different now? Eleanor sighed, if you still like her, go after her. She probably hasn't gone far. I looked at her disappointed expression, took her hand, and said seriously, right now, I only want you. Eleanor's face turned a little red the final day before the court hearing. I had a scheduled regular checkup at the hospital. After the checkup, I was coming back from the restroom and happened to pass by the obstetrics and gynecology department. It was Charlotte and Leo again. Hadn't she already had an abortion? My mind was full of questions when I heard Leo ask the doctor, "Are you sure you didn't see it wrong? Is the fetus in her womb really deformed?" Hearing this, my heart skipped a beat. Charlotte had lied to me that day. She hadn't had an abortion at all but had used a fake surgical report to test me. If I had given in and agreed, I would have been the ridiculous one. And now, after all her scheming, she never expected this baby to be deformed. If there are abnormalities, it is usually recommended to have an abortion. However, this lady's constitution is quite special. According to the test results, she became pregnant again shortly after having an abortion. If she has another one, it could significantly impact her future ability to conceive. The doctor's words made Charlotte's face turn paler and paler. The doctor couldn't help but add, although I don't know why you terminated the previous 7-month-old fetus, I must tell you that that one was very healthy, a boy. Your body was already weak after a late-term abortion, and then you got pregnant again so quickly. I didn't want to hear the rest. In the end, it's the cycle of cause and effect in the world. Actions have consequences. Charlotte maliciously killed our child, and now, her child has turned out to be deformed, putting her in a difficult situation. It is lamentable, but also self-inflicted. On the day of the hearing, Charlotte didn't show up. She had her lawyer bring the agreement. She agreed to the divorce. Attached to the agreement was a letter, filled with a dense, long essay full of remorse, pain, and apologies. I didn't finish reading it before throwing it directly into the rubbish bin, and then went for a candlelight dinner with Eleanor. That night, I bid farewell to my terrible past and gained a new life and hope. Eleanor and I officially started dating. 6 months later, we decided to get married. On the day we registered, I gave the sapphire ring my mother left me to Eleanor, hoping she wouldn't mind. Eleanor put the ring on her wrist in front of me, her smile full of happiness. Later, I heard that Charlotte had developed depression and was admitted to a psychiatric hospital for treatment. When her parents found out that Leo had instigated all of this, they broke his legs in a fit of anger, caused him to lose his job, and ruined his reputation. The two families have cut off all contact since. Both of them received the punishment they deserved, But I was in no mood to gloat over their misfortune. Because I was about to become a father, Eleanor was pregnant. From now on, there would be no more Charlotte and Leo in my life. I must cherish my own life.